Today, I want to speak about this passage from the Bible and what it really means. From Hebrews chapter 9, verse 27, we read, "And as it is appointed to men to die once, but then the judgment." From a literal reading of this, one may indeed get the impression that there is no such thing as reincarnation in the Bible. In fact, that is very much the belief of mainstream Christianity today. However, 2,000 years ago, many of the so-called Gnostic Christians believed in reincarnation. A number of their books were found in the Nag Hammadi library in the 20th century, and there are many passages that hint at the belief in reincarnation being prevalent at that time. Today I do not wish to go into the deep explanation of these. That may be for another time. For now, I want to speak of the deep meaning of this particular verse from the Bible. It is appointed to men to die once, but then the judgment. Contrary to the popular belief, the death that is referred to here is not, in my view, the death of this physical body. After all, if this were so, then we have an issue that a person dies and is immediately judged. But then it is unclear why the Bible and other scriptures foretell a world judgment at the end time. Jesus himself spoke of the Son of Man who comes at the end time to bring the judgment. But to understand this, I must again refer to the path of the human spirit through creation, which begins while it is a seed. This seed is like a seed of a plant or tree here on the earth. It may be shed from another tree or another plant. It takes firm root in the soil of this earth and eventually germinates and grows into another plant or tree. Creation is like this. Or rather, this process is actually a reflection of creation as a whole. There is the spiritual realm or paradise where the human being comes from. There the human being started his path as a spirit seed. This seed comes into this world of matter to germinate and grow. Our world of coarse matter is the first step where this seed truly begins its conscious development. Until then, this spirit seed has been unconscious, even in its primordial state in the spiritual realm or paradise. Beginning with its development here on this earth, the spirit seed blossoms upwards as it spiritually develops, acquires its consciousness, and eventually there is the harvest. If this seed cannot attain the spiritual perfection in one earth life, it is offered the opportunity to develop this further in subsequent earth lives. It requires the spiritual perfection to eventually return home to the spiritual realm of paradise. Then it returns home as a perfect, conscious being, no longer a seed. Now there are two great divisions or planes in this world of matter. The coarse matter is this physical world that we can see, that we are in. There is also the world of fine matter, or the beyond, which we do not see. This world of fine matter, the beyond, is where we will go immediately after our physical death. The world of fine matter belongs to the world of matter also, like this coarse material world, but it is not the spiritual realm. And from time to time, we return from the world of fine matter to the world of coarse matter, that is, this earth, to develop. So, we do not have just this one physical body here on the earth, we also have a soul body from this world of fine matter. Our spirit, meanwhile, is of a much higher origin, but one can say that it is enveloped in these bodies of fine and coarse matter. Now, all matter is transient. It must one day decay. Just as here on earth, matter eventually decays, returns into a primeval state, and then again is rejuvenated, fertile and refreshed, so it is also with the great world of matter, both the worlds of fine matter and coarse matter. Once the point is reached when matter is about to decay and disintegrate, then the time is up for the spirit to have completed its cycle of development. By then it must be ready to return to the luminous heights of paradise. If it cannot do so, if it has not developed to spiritual perfection, if it has clung only to materialistic tendencies or desires, then it is dragged along into the disintegration of matter. Effectively, it is cast out. It is rejected by creation as a useless seed. The process of the disintegration of matter, the separation of that which is perfect spiritual versus undeveloped, imperfect spiritual, is actually what the world religions call the judgment of God. In reality, this is a natural process. When the world reaches the process of disintegration, then the spirit must lose all the material covers or bodies that it has on itself, either of this coarse matter or from the immediate beyond of fine matter. What is left behind then is either a completed spirit or a still undeveloped, imperfect spirit. A spirit that has found its path to God, or a spirit that is still stuck in material things. That is the death that comes only once. It is also known as the second death in the Revelation. The first death is that of the physical body. The second death is that of the soul body. Once this death takes place, then the human spirit is effectively judged. Judged as either a useful building block in God's creation, worthy of God's kingdom, or as a useless piece that must be thrown away. Hence this verse from the Bible, "It is appointed to men to die once, but then the judgment," has nothing to do with the physical death of the human being, but rather with the death of his fine material cloak. The death of the coarse material physical body is not what immediately precedes the judgment of the spirit as either worthy of everlasting life or of everlasting damnation. Rather, it is the death of the other body, the soul body, the one that comes from the fine material world. That is what is truly meant by this verse. Naturally, what is said here is only for those who are open to new spiritual knowledge and also open to the possibility of reincarnation, as well as the knowledge of planes of creation. If you're not open to these possibilities, reincarnation, planes of creation, new spiritual knowledge, thinking outside of the box, then I can understand why this explanation would not resonate for you. But the knowledge of this second death, as the death of the fine material body, is new spiritual knowledge for us. In the past, it was assumed amongst the ancient peoples that reincarnation was forever, that everybody has an infinite set of earth lives to get to perfection. It is indeed an integral part of the pantheistic faiths, including Hinduism and Buddhism and other similar worldviews. No one has to worry about an end time or the end of the opportunity given to us to develop spiritually. But this is specifically not true. And this is why Jesus, the Son of God, had to come to bring the word to us and set us free from the cycle of rebirths. It was urgently necessary for him to come. Otherwise, we would all perish in the judgment. Through his word, we have the possibility of escaping eternal damnation during the second death. This second death only comes once for the spirit. That is why the verse says it is appointed unto men to die once, and then the judgment. When you look at it from this perspective, you will realize that our time to reach spiritual perfection is short. In fact, there is no more time now. We are already standing in the midst of this separation of light from darkness, of what is worthy of everlasting life from that which is damned to eternal perdition. We are indeed standing in the judgment. Therefore, let us awake in the little time we have with us. Awake and embrace the light of the truth that is also there for those who are earnestly seeking. Everything that I have said here today is not my own knowledge, but is explained very clearly and with great precision by Abdru Shin's message of the Grail. The entire journey of the spirit seed through creation, from its lofty spiritual heights of paradise, is beautifully and powerfully described in this work. This message is the new word of God for those who are seeking true spiritual knowledge, free from all dogma and religion. If you are looking at the world around you in despair and seeking answers to the great questions of life, you need look no further.